Now, for more insights into the U.S. economy, let's bring in Anthony Chan, former Chief Economist at JPMorgan Chase. Always good to see you, Anthony.
Good to see you, Rachelle.
So I want to start by getting your reaction to this March report and why it was so much stronger than predicted.
Well, one of the things that is going on is that, remember, the month before you had some weather effects, so you're going to get a little bit of a bounce back. But also, all the stimulus that we've seen, both last year and early this year, are starting to play out. There are many other medical factors. We're seeing some progress with vaccination. All those things put together are creating an improving labor market environment for jobs.
So then what would you say are the most notable trends that are emerging in the labor market's recovery?
I think that right now what we're seeing is that consumer confidence is picking up. So you're starting to see the leisure and hospitality, which, by the way, led the way in job gains with 280,000 jobs created, are starting to pick up. And that is really exciting because that puts money into people's pocketbooks. That means they will spend, and that will continue to build over time. And we're seeing progress really almost across the board. It's pretty impressive because in the past, what we had seen was progress on the goods producing sector, and now we're starting to see it broadening out to the service sector. So I think that that's pretty significant.
Now, in terms of demographics, women and minorities suffered the most during the pandemic economically. Have they regained any of the ground that they've lost 1 year ago?
They really have, because if you look at women, they lost 9.7 million jobs at the peak of the pandemic from the pre-pandemic years, and now they're still down close to 3.7 million jobs. So again, a very impressive gain there. With regard to minorities, they also have made great gains. What you see is whether you look at African Americans or you look at Hispanics, their unemployment rates have come down sharply from the peak. Still a long ways to go, but you're seeing progress. With regard to the unemployment rate, this month you saw declines in every single demographic group except Asians. But Asians have an unemployment rate of about 6%, which is basically in line with the national rate, even though they historically tend to have unemployment rates a lot lower. But guess what? We still have a long ways to go. African Americans and Hispanics still need to create more jobs to get back to their pre-pandemic levels.
And you mentioned vaccinations. So what role are the increasing number of vaccinations really playing in terms of hiring plans?
Well, that's a good question because there's a statistic that the Labor Department puts out, and that is how many people are not looking for work because of the pandemic. And in this latest month, compared to last month, we're seeing that 3.7 million people are saying they're not looking for work because of the pandemic, but that's down sharply from 4.2 million in the prior month. So that's telling us that people are gaining confidence. And when you see that 100 million people are vaccinated, these numbers are going to improve and get a lot better in the months ahead. Not to say that we don't have progress that is needed, because when you look at non-farm payrolls, we are still short 8.4 million jobs. And if you look at the household survey to compute the unemployment rate, we're still short 7.9 million jobs. So we still have a long ways to go. But guess what? We're making pretty impressive progress when you look at these numbers.
So then as you look at that progress then, what's your early assessment of President Biden's performance as well as his plans for rebuilding the labor market?
Well, I think that right now in his first 2 months, the numbers are great. But the reality is that it's very hard to really give too much credit to the president. You got to give him some credit because the vaccinations picked up. But in the first 2 months, what we're seeing is the effects of expansive monetary stimulus and expansive fiscal stimulus. And of course, if he goes ahead and goes through with the infrastructure program, you're going to see even more jobs being created. Some of the estimates that I've heard from the White House is they plan to create as much over 18 million jobs, certainly over the next 10 years. But my estimates are that you normally create about 125,000 jobs every single month. That's just natural. And guess what? That means that over the next 10 years, we would have created, without the stimulus, about 15 million jobs. Moody's has an estimate that if you have the Biden stimulus package, you'll create 16.3 million jobs. So it's not to say that the infrastructure is not needed, because I'm actually a big supporter of the infrastructure program. I give a lot of credit to President Biden for that. But in terms of creating 18 plus million jobs, that's a bit of a stretch because we would have created either 15 million, according to my estimate, or 16.3, according to Moody's. So the real numbers are something like somewhere between 3.9 and 2.6 million jobs because of this infrastructure program, which, by the way, is badly needed. But I don't think you can go out there and say that it's going to create 18 plus million jobs.
So take it with a grain of salt. Thank you so much, Anthony Chan, the former chief economist at JPMorgan Chase.
Thank you.